Okay, you guys, the day has finally come. It's time for y'all to get rowdy in the comments again. Hey, what's up, you guys? It's Avery, and welcome back to my channel. For those of you who have never been here before, welcome. Glad you made it. I'm very excited for today's video because in today's video, I am going to be watching the new Persuasion movie. It was released a few days ago on Netflix, and I've been waiting to watch it so that I could film this video because you guys had lots to say in the comments of my Persuasion trailer reaction. And I mean, like, y'all had opinions and y'all had some thoughts. I am excited to watch this movie and see what you guys have to say about it. The general consensus is that everyone's pretty mad about the adaptation, at least from the trailer. It looks like Anne is not really the Anne Elliot from the book, and it looks like everyone is kind of anti this like Bridgerton-esque type feeling that they tried to put on the movie from what the trailer looks like. I had some different thoughts in my video, which some of you guys came for me, which, I mean, I'm not taking it personally. I know that people get heated. I thought the movie looks good, and I'm a big fan of Persuasion the book. Like, I love the book. You can maybe call me a fake fan for saying that I think this movie looks good, but let me just reiterate from my last video. I think that there are already two versions of Persuasion that follow the book pretty well and are pretty good adaptations. So I don't mind so much that this really looks like it's kind of loosely based on the book. Maybe instead of naming it Persuasion, they should have named it something else or said it was loosely based on Persuasion, because I think where people have an issue is that they're saying that this is an adaptation of Persuasion when it looks so different from what the book actually is. So I definitely get that, but I'm going into this with a more open attitude. We'll see as I'm watching the movie, you know, if things kind of bug me or if it turns out I don't actually like what they're doing. But I'm trying to go into it with a positive attitude, because what is the point of being upset about this, guys? They've already made it, and we might as well try to find enjoyment out of it than just like hate on it. That's what I'm trying to think. You know, I'm trying to be positive, which is not always my go-to. I'm kind of a natural born hater. So I'm trying to go into this with a good attitude and just to enjoy the moments that they pull from the book, and then also try and find some humor in the new things. That's the plan. I'm going to watch this movie. I might give updates throughout the movie as I'm watching, and then I will come back at the end and talk about some of the themes and things, characters that stood out or stood out in a bad way. Also, this video will have spoilers in it because I'm just going to be talking about the movie. So I could do like a spoiler-free version, but I don't really want to. I want to talk about like the specifics of the movie. If you haven't seen the movie yet, then maybe don't watch this and come back once you have. Alright, without further ado, let's watch the movie. Before I start the movie, I'm going to make myself some tea in my little Jane Austen mug that is Persuasion themed. It has a quote from the book, the classic, "I am half agony, half hope." Love that part in the book, and I really hope they add that into the movie. Like, I hope that line is there because it's just obviously a classic. Are they kissing? Opening scene, it looks like Anne and Wentworth were kissing. Wait, I wasn't paying attention. I have to go back because that's whack. Opening scene, they're kissing. I'm afraid. I'm afraid. I'm afraid. I don't like it. I don't like it. It's not good. It's not Regency. Ooh, ooh. Wait, maybe I'm having a change of heart, y'all. So far, I kind of like the confessional style of her talking to the camera. I know some people didn't like it, and they're like, it's trying to be The Office or Parks and Rec. But I actually think it's a good way to like hear what Anne is feeling, because it's not like she tells her feelings to everyone else, so you know exactly what she's feeling. It's kind of like a nice way to be able to hear what she's feeling, kind of like how you can read it in the book, and it's a way that she kind of tells us. Kellynch Hall is beautiful. Like, look at this shot. It's so pretty. Oh my gosh, look at the back of that house. I must live there. It's a need, not a want. I am half agony, half hope. I know you looked at Harry Mr. Okay, I have just finished Persuasion. Overall, I would say there were things I liked about it and things I didn't like about it. I think I did enjoy it, but there were definitely things that were like, I don't love that. That is a little too different from the book, and so I definitely think there are pros and cons. I'll start off with some pros, you know, to keep it positive here at the beginning. I really thought the cinematography was very beautiful. Very amazing shots. The houses, like, the cinematography was really on point. So it was a very, like, beautiful film to watch, which I really liked. There were a few characters who I thought did a really good job, and, well, pretty much all of the Elliots, especially Mary Elliot, like, she was hilarious, and I think that she did such a good job of embodying how whiny and annoying Mary Elliot was in the book. So I think that she did a really good job, and she was really funny. Same with Sir Walter Elliot. I thought that he was also really a good representation of Sir Elliot from the book, just being very vain and very obsessed with appearances. And at the beginning when he's talking about, you know, all the things that they spend money on and how he doesn't want to give to charity, like, he was really funny, and I thought that he did a really good job of being Sir Elliot. And then as well as Elizabeth, like, she was a good Elizabeth too. So overall, I think the other three Elliots were like really good representations of their characters. Okay, now we'll talk a bit about some things that were different that I didn't love so much. So first, let's just talk about Anne as a character. I thought that there were some instances where she was very Anne-like, but then also many instances that were very not Anne-like. For example, when she is like drinking wine by herself up in the house and she opens the window and yells Frederick's name and then like hides. Like, that's so not Anne. She would never do that. One of the dinner scenes where they're all together, it's like right after Frederick was talking about getting married and stuff, and she just randomly blurts out like, oh, well, you know, Charles wanted to marry me first. Like, she just randomly brought up that Charles wanted to marry her instead of her sister, which is so weird and awkward, and like Anne would not do that. So I definitely feel like there was a main difference between who Anne was in the book and who she was in this movie. Like a lot of other people have said, like, I feel like they kind of tried to make her like an Elizabeth Bennet character or Emma, and so I didn't hate it. Like, I was not watching the movie and I wasn't angry about it because, like I said, like, I wasn't allowing myself to care that much, like, to be that angry about it, because, like, what's the point of being that angry? But when I was watching, I was definitely just like, okay, this is a little different. But I was just kind of rolling with it. But I understand if you are not a fan for that reason. I also talked about right when I started watching the scene, her and Wentworth like kissing on the cliff, and I'm like, no. It's like, not this. I kind of knew with that opening scene that, okay, we're doing something a little different. We're not staying true to Jane Austen. Another thing that was like pretty different from the book that was kind of a con is that I made this note when my phone when I was watching, and it said, why are they talking to each other? Like, why are Anne and Wentworth having these like deep conversations? Like, they had this conversation on the beach where they're like talking about being friends, and he's been too angry at her and just all the stuff. And it's, if you know the book, you know that like anytime they spoke to each other, it was all very much just like pleasantries. They never talked about anything like their feelings. That's the whole big part of the book, is like this kind of angst and like pining for each other. And then they're like just talking about it in the movie, and I'm like, why are we talking about it? I'm like, let's not talk about it. I'm much more into like longing looks. Like, whenever he would be like pining after her or she would be pining after him, and you could just see it like in their eyes, that's what I like the most. And I think that's what's more true to the Jane Austen world and books. And so I didn't love that they like spoke to each other about their feelings before the end. Another thing with Mr. Elliot is that I thought it was kind of interesting that he like told his plan to Anne about him trying to not let Mrs. Clay and Sir Elliot get married. That was like different, you know, him like telling her that he was literally there scheming, when in reality, like, he was more sly than that rather than just telling Anne. But, you know, that wasn't a huge deal to me. And then at the very end, like, Mr. Elliot and Mrs. Clay like making out outside, I was like, what are we doing? Like, literally, in what era is this set? In what world would those two be making out, like, in public? That was just so dumb. And then finally, I want to talk about the letter scene. I thought that was done really well. That was very similar to the book, with him leaving and leaving her the letter, and then obviously parts of the letter were exactly like the book. So that was really awesome because, you know, I love it. You pierce my soul. I'm half agony, half hope. Like, bah, bah, bah. That gets me right here. So overall, yes, this film took liberties with the story, for sure. And I know that that was the point. Like, so I went into it knowing that things were going to be a little different, and they were going to be kind of modernizing it a little bit and having different language and all the different kind of changes they made. I kind of went into it with a positive attitude about that. And so I think that I enjoyed it, and I didn't let those things anger me. A few things I was like, you know, I kind of wish they had stayed more similar to the book, with like Anne's personality a little bit, as well as Frederick and her kind of like speaking so much together. They really should have just been pining after each other because everyone loves to see angst, first of all. Like, I feel like everyone would have ate that up like we did when we read the book. Those things were kind of cons, but I mean, I enjoyed it. Like, did I enjoy it as a very faithful adaptation of Persuasion? No, but I did appreciate that there were moments from the book that were there. I definitely see how people have their qualms with it, and I'm very interested to know everyone's opinions down below. I honestly feel like if you are such a like stickler for wanting your adaptations to be exactly like the book, like literally just don't watch it. You're just gonna make yourself mad. I've like seen some people talking and they're like, I couldn't watch it, like I barely could get through it, it was so horrible. And so I'm like, just don't watch it if you feel like this adaptation's gonna anger you, because you're just setting yourself up for disappointment. If you just want to go into it with a positive attitude and being like, this is gonna be different, but let me just enjoy it for what it is, then I think you'll have a much better experience. Because it's like a very beautifully done movie, and there's funny moments. Like, even though Anne was not acting like Anne in the book, she was funny, so she said things that were kind of outrageous that still made me laugh, even though it was like, okay, Anne would never do that. Overall, I enjoyed it for what it was, okay? I enjoyed some of the good things about it, and then some of the extra things I was like, what are we doing here? Overall, was not a bad experience for me. I liked it, I would say. Final opinion. Something else I want to say, which I forgot to mention, is that even though I feel like this adaptation is catered to other people, like it's catered to people who enjoy Bridgerton and stuff like that, I don't think there's anything wrong with that if it has the potential to get somebody to read a Jane Austen book. If someone has never read Jane Austen before, they watch this movie and they're like, I love this, I want to read Persuasion the book, then maybe that gets them into Jane Austen and reading her stuff. So even though it's not accurate, I think that there could definitely be good things that come from this movie. And I think that's also a positive spin that you can put on it. So, you know, Mrs. Positivity over here. If you've watched it or haven't watched it yet, really any general opinions you have about it, please let me know in the comments. I love to hear everyone's opinions because, like I said, I know y'all got them. Y'all were very vocal on my trailer video, so leave them here too now that you've seen the whole thing. Thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, make sure to give this video a thumbs up, and like I said, leave a comment with your thoughts, and also subscribe if you want to see more videos from me in the future. I will see you in my next video. Peace.